Hi and welcome back. In today's video, we are talking once more to Ellen Graves, who is the CEO of Do Not Age, a longevity research as well as supplement company I have been using for quite a while, and I know many of you do as well. Ellen was actually on my channel about 4 months ago to answer all the questions I'd gotten from you about the supplements. Since that video, we have gotten a ton more questions, so Ellen is back with us today to answer them. Now, before we talk to Ellen, I want to say really briefly that while I take quite a few Do Not Age supplements, as far as longevity supplements, they are really the only company I trust at this point. Like I said, they are not just a supplement company, but a research company, and they have a ton of research behind their supplements. The company is also very honest. So while I take quite a few of their supplements, I don't take all of these supplements we will be talking about in this video. You have heard me talk about this before. Supplements are just that. They are supplements. And the best thing we can do to feel well right now, as well as to age well, is to eat a nutrient-dense diet, exercise, and get enough sleep, and manage our stress. If we have all of that, and then throw some supplements on top, that's great. But nothing replaces, again, a nutrient-dense diet, exercise, enough sleep, and managing our stress. So please know that you do not have to take all of the supplements we will be talking about in this video, if even any. And if you are considering taking some of these supplements, please talk to your doctor about it first. Also, if you have any questions about the supplements, don't hesitate to reach out to the company. They are always happy to answer your questions. And if I can help with any, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Now, I actually made a video on all the supplements I take about a year ago. Since then, I stopped taking certain supplements and started taking some others. So if you want me to make an updated video on my supplement routine, I would be very happy to. Just let me know down below. So without further ado, let's talk to Ellen. Hi, Ellen. Thank you so much for being back.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, how have you been how has everything been since the last video?
Yeah, really positive, actually. It's been great since I last came on. All of your video watchers started taking the products, in particular Certix Activator and NMN, two of our most popular ingredients. But what's great to see is the impact that those health supplements have had in such a small space of time. So I think we spoke in January, maybe. And here we are 6 months later, and already we're seeing success stories from your audience, which I think is great. And I'm really happy for everyone. And hopefully I can answer some of the questions from some of the other audience members today.
You know, and aside from getting a lot of questions, I do get a lot of emails telling me those success stories as well. So it's really awesome. It makes me happy.
Yeah, it's
but
good.
You brought up Certix, so let's start with that. What is Certix?
Well, we'll start with sirtuins. So sirtuins are a group of proteins that repair your body. When you're young, they're very active, and that's why you feel so good when you're young. By the time you're past 30, for example, your sirtuins have slowed down and the effects of aging become more noticeable. So, and the picture only continues to get worse as time goes on. So at donotage.org, we provide something called Certix Activator, which is like the world's first verified activator of sirtuin 6. So there's 7 of them in total, and number 6 is the one that is most heavily correlated with a long and healthy life. And we've had fantastic results with the Certix Activator, as I mentioned. In just a few months, we had a clinical trial that's looking at the frailty index. I don't know if you know much about the frailty index.
No, tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's generally accepted as a fantastic measure of aging, and obviously it looks at things like gait and grip strength and all that, everything to do with frailty. And the Certix Activator group kept great frailty scores, whereas the placebo group has frailty scores that are worsening each month. And the results were so powerful that Professor Gobinova suggested we use Certix Activator in a trial on patients that have undergone chemotherapy. So that is what we're doing at the moment, and we believe that Certix Activator will stop the recurrence of tumours, which obviously, if that happens, then it's humongous news. For now, we just continue to have tens of thousands of happy members all taking Certix Activator every day.
Let's backtrack a second. Vera Gobinova is the scientist that works with Do Not Age, and she's doing a lot of the work on Certix.
That's right, yeah. So she's our lead scientist. She's been working on aging and sirtuins for more than 2 decades. And she runs her own laboratory in New York State in the United States, which is called the Gobinova Aging Research Center. And yeah, she's fantastic. We work with lots of labs around the world, but Vera is our lead researcher and our kind of in-house one.
So I just yesterday got an email actually from a viewer who said they started taking Certix Activator a few months ago and they're feeling incredible on it.
Oh, good.
That's really great news. Now, honestly, I take it, but I think I feel so good on NMN that I haven't noticed that huge of a difference, but I get emails, people telling me that they are feeling great on it.
Yeah, and that's very common because different people not only react to different ingredients sometimes in different levels, but also if you're taking, say, for example, 15 different ingredients to cover all these different hallmarks of aging, then the likelihood is that you're not going to be able to decipher which ones are doing exactly what. And that's just the way it's going to be, I'm afraid.
Let's say somebody only takes Certix Activator. What could they expect to feel?
Again, it depends on their current health situation, but the most common one we get is more energy, having more oomph when they get up in the morning, you know, feeling more motivated throughout the day. It's an overall wellness kind of thing, because what we're doing with Certix Activator and the rest of our ingredients is fixing the upstream causes of aging. The downstream symptoms can be extremely different depending on your current health situation.
Now tell us really quickly, what does that mean, the upstream causes of aging?
Yeah, so well, for example, with Certix Activator, you're looking at the activity of your sirtuins. So as I mentioned earlier, when you're young, sirtuins are very active and they're doing their anti-aging repair work, if you like, at a very high speed all the time. And as you get older, they slow down and slow down and slow down. And so the need to increase their speed of repair work is greater as you get older.
Okay. So with Certix Activator, people feel more oomph. You also said to me earlier it is an anti-inflammatory, or it has great anti-inflammatory properties.
Yeah, that's right. It's an extremely strong anti-inflammatory, which is just a nice side effect, if you will, of the product that we use.
Which is important because inflammation is at the root of any age-related disease, so it's quite important.
Yeah, definitely. And even if it's not one of the root causes, it will exacerbate pretty much any health issue you might have. So keeping inflammation to a minimum is extremely important.
I told you earlier I take Certix. I wasn't quite sure at first how many to take. The packaging just says take desired amount. What do you suggest? How many capsules people take of Certix Activator?
Yeah, that's right. So we had to put take the desired amount of capsules on the side of the packaging because we do have the subscription service and people can obviously choose how much they want to take. But with Certix Activator, it is based on weight. So there are different weight categories. And if you look at the product page, anyone wants to go on there and have a quick look, they can find out their weight in kilograms. You'll need to know it in kilograms. So if you work in stones and pounds and things like that, then you'll have to do a little Google conversion to find out what you weigh in kilos, and then head over to the Certix Activator product page. And if you scroll to the bottom there after the information and a video from Vera, you'll see that it's got a weight category telling you what the recommended amount is to take dependent on your weight.
Okay, that's great to know. Now, you just mentioned if somebody takes 15 different supplements or ingredients. So one question I get quite frequently is how many supplements is too many?
Well, if it's donotage.org supplements, then obviously they're designed to work together. Aging's extremely complex, and there will never be just one pill to solve everything. And if there were, it would be about this big. So, you know, if anything, there's probably going to be more in the future. But most of them are natural ingredients. That's what we have to remember, just in a concentrated form. So they should be seen as part of the diet. I think understanding the difference between these kind of ingredients and pharmaceuticals is very important. So obviously taking too many pharmaceuticals can have a negative effect because of side effects and other issues. These are natural ingredients. So for example, Certix Activator, we've just been talking about it. It's a concentrated form and tested form of seaweed. So you can see what I mean about how just imagining it as part of your diet rather than imagining it as, oh, I'm popping a pill, because, you know, these aren't prescription drugs.
So you can't possibly take too many.
Well, you can take too many of anything, really. I guess it depends. It depends on. You can't take too many, as in variety-wise, but you can take too many of one, if that makes sense. So, for example, Resveratrol is a hormetic, which means it works via hormesis, and that is the benefit you get from it is your body's reaction to ingesting the Resveratrol. So, because of that, officially, resveratrol is actually bad for you, right? So if you take too much of it, you can overdose on it, and that wouldn't be a good thing. But if you take just a little bit, just a gram a day, for example, then your body's reaction to what you've ingested is where you get the benefits.
Let's backtrack really quickly, because I don't want to scare people who take resveratrol. It's not necessarily bad for you. It is, the body is responding to it, sort of similar to exercise, right? I mean, you have this response to a stress.
Yeah, exactly. So it's exactly, as you mentioned, it's exactly how exercise works. It's also how fasting works as well, and cold therapy, heat therapy, all these kind of things. Anytime you put the body through stress, it will respond, but it will respond in kind and say, right, we need to go out and do our repair work. But if you overdo it, then it's going to have a negative effect. The safe levels for resveratrol are a lot higher than 1 gram, so don't worry about that. But it was just an example. Things like Certix Activator, you would struggle to take too much because it's seaweed, right? Whereas resveratrol, stick to 1 gram a day and you should be fine.
Can any of the supplements be given to pets?
Well, officially we create our ingredients with humans in mind, but obviously we all know the very famous people in the industry that do give these ingredients to their pets. And we do have thousands of DoNotAge.org members that do the same, but I think it's important to remember our dosages are based on humans and not pets. So officially, we create our ingredients with humans in mind.
And I told you, I give NMN actually to Sam, my dog. I have been giving it to her for about 8 months, and I can really see a difference. She's going to be 13 this September. And when people ask me at the park how old she is, and I tell them 12, they can't believe it. So I can definitely see a difference. She hates the taste.
Well, not many people
disguise it.
Taste. But because of the different rate of aging, I think it's easier to see results quicker with canines. But I'm not recommending it because we create our ingredients for humans, just for clarity.
Now, I have heard David Sinclair say that he does give it to his dogs. But the $1 million question is, which NMN supplement does David Sinclair take?
So I wouldn't want to jeopardize my relationship with David by talking about his business. So I'd say that question is probably best directed at him. But the things that are public knowledge are that he takes 1 gram of NMN every day, capsule form, with either water or coffee in the morning. Then he takes resveratrol, quercetin, vicertin, Spermidine, and some other ingredients after that. But ultimately, for which brand he takes, I think that question's best directed at him. I wouldn't want to speak on his behalf.
So you mentioned that David Sinclair takes resveratrol, and resveratrol has become quite popular in the skincare industry as an ingredient to use externally. But can it improve your skin taking it internally?
There's some data that leans that way, but I guess the best option for younger looking skin would be things like you can consume the resveratrol. You can take things like collagen, which is something that we are actually working on at the moment. High molecular weight hyaluronic acid, which is crucial for reducing wrinkles. And it does particularly work very well in conjunction with collagen as well.
Personally, I take the hyaluronic acid, and I notice a difference, not just in my skin, but also in my joints.
Yes.
And I've had a lot of people tell me they notice a big difference with the hyaluronic acid. Now, I don't take collagen. For me, it works just fine, just taking the hyaluronic acid. But it's good to know that you're coming out with a collagen supplement. Is it going to be vegan or is it going to be animal-based?
Yeah, so we're still working on it at the moment. Obviously, we'd prefer it to be to not have any animal product in, like the rest of our range. But what we're finding is the results aren't as good for what we're looking for, and I'm not just talking about skin here. Lots of other parts of health that collagen impacts. So, but again, we're still in the testing stages, so it won't be out for a while yet. But as soon as it does, we'll let you know.
What other ingredients do you have in the pipeline aside from collagen?
Yep. So we're always looking at various different ingredients, testing in lots of different ways. We do our own in-house testing, and there's lots of other laboratories that come to us for not just for funding but also for ingredients as well. So our calcium alpha ketoglutarate is being used at the moment in Asia, and obviously if the study produces any great results that are worth talking about, then obviously we can email those out and we'd tell you as well, Claudia, of course. But yeah, in terms of ones that are in the advanced stages of testing, I would probably say the collagen is the one that would be most likely to come out first. And we're also looking at continuous glucose monitors as well, which, although it isn't an ingredient, it's another way for people to quantify the results of what they're doing with their supplements.
One thing I've asked you as well, and I get that question quite a bit, is that the color of some of the capsules, for example, when I started Certix Activator, the capsules were green. Now they are white. So they didn't turn white, but the new package, the capsules are white. So I noticed you've done that with a couple of supplements. The color has changed. Is that something we should worry about, or tell us why that happens?
No, so this is one of the things that we never really consider when obviously we're always iterating and improving our products. And we didn't think anybody would be bothered about color, but it turns out there's a few people that it's kind of like, oh, is this right? Is this wrong? I mean, if they're green when you get them, and they turn white over time, then that would be an issue. But no, I mean, every batch is tested obviously to ensure purity. And whilst we do always make small changes, there's never going to be anything to worry about. At the end of the day, we're a health research organization, and the only reason that we allow the public to purchase our ingredients is because we can't trust traditional supplement manufacturers with the ingredients. The purity is just too important to us. And that's why we have the consumer-facing website, donotage.org, so that members of the public can purchase from us.
So the color of the capsule changing has to do with quality control. You just figured out an even better way to put the ingredient in.
Exactly.
It happens to be a different color.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned vicertin earlier, or vicertin, as you like to say. I've heard that it is not very bioavailable. What is the best way to take vicertin?
So the pure vicertin from donotage.org is already in its most bioavailable form. So, and the instructions to how to take all of the products are included in the order, so that we make it nice and simple. But with vicertin, because it's fat soluble, it's just better to take it with a source of fat. So whether that's with some yogurt or some olive oil, or even if you just take it during a normal meal that's got some fat in it, as long as it's not a pure salad with no olive oil on, then you'll be fine.
Okay. Now, since we're talking about that, NMN, though, because I get that question as well, does not have to be taken with fat.
No, this all stems from an old David Sinclair video where he basically said that he takes, I can't remember how it was worded, or it might have been from the book, but anyway, he said he takes NMN and resveratrol with fat, and people thought he meant NMN and resveratrol with fat, but he meant NMN and resveratrol with fat. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So NMN does not need fat to be absorbed into your system. Just swallowing it with water is all you need to do.
So since NMN does not have to be taken with fat or food, I actually take my first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. That's a good idea, right? Because it can help with your circadian rhythm.
Yeah, it does. So again, going back to Dr. Sinclair, he'll use it to reset himself from jet lag. So he'll take the NMN usually first thing in the morning, but if he's going to be flying later that day and moving several time zones across, then what he'll do is he'll take the NMN that day at the time that is morning in the place he's going to get his body ready, because your NAD is up and down throughout the day, and the highest peak is when you wake up in the morning. And so it's very closely related to your circadian rhythm.
Now, you also mentioned quercetin. How important is quercetin?
From my perspective, it's known as the exercise of supplements for a reason.
Exercise of supplements?
Yeah, because it has such a beneficial impact on so many different aspects of aging, and exercise is the same. So rather than when you exercise, it doesn't just help with your NAD, or it doesn't just work on one hallmark of aging. It works on pretty much all of them. And so quercetin is very similar. Whilst it might not have the huge impact on each one, it's going to have a small impact on all of them. So that's why we sort of give it the moniker of the exercise of supplements. It's part of our starter pack as well, because of how popular it is and the beneficial effects that it has.
And it can be very beneficial for allergies, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's one of the things that we see time and time again.
Now, both vicertin and quercetin are also senolytic compounds. So do you want to take them on an ongoing basis? Because we do want a little bit of senescence happening, right?
Yeah, but as long as you don't go over the dosage and the stated amount, then you'll be absolutely fine. Quercetin is not a particularly strong senolytic. Again, it just does it a little bit, just like it does lots of the other things. Vicertin is the strong senolytic. Again, 2 of those a day, 2 capsules from donotage.org a day is all we recommend. And that's why one of the things you might notice, or some people might notice, is products that were on the market previously were 50 milligrams or 25 milligrams of vicertin, because it's quite an expensive one to produce. And if you take 2 of those a day, it's really not going to have any effect at all on your level of senescence. Ours are 400 milligrams per capsule, which sounds a lot compared to the others, but that's because we create our products based on health outcomes, and then we look at trying to keep the price down afterwards. Whereas the traditional supplement companies will price the product first. They'll say, right, how many of these can we sell at, if we sell at $25 or whatever it may be, and then they'll work backwards from there and create the product, and they'll go, yeah, vicertin. And the people that that are uninformed or misinformed about it will go, oh, I can get vicertin for $25. I only need 2 a day. I'll take those. And then what they don't realize is they're not getting anywhere near enough. And so, yeah, we're trying to change that about the industry, but with places like Amazon around, it's difficult.
And I want to get into that in a second, but let's talk really quickly about senescence and senolytic compounds, just in a nutshell, what that is and what senolytic compounds do. Sure.
So a senescent cell is a cell that is basically struggling to go through a normal cell death and then be removed from the body, and they accumulate over time. So although you do have a small amount of them when you're younger, your body can't get rid of them easily. So the reason that we take a senolytic compound is it helps the body to get rid of those senescent cells. They're often called zombie cells because they cause inflammation, and at the same time they infect the other cells around them and encourage them to become senescent as well. So it's a compounding issue.
Great. Now let's talk really quickly about the price of supplements, because that is a question I get quite frequently. People tell me, oh my gosh, I found this so much cheaper on Amazon or someplace else. And I always tell people, this is my personal opinion, I would rather take less quantity but have it be quality than take 20 different supplements and have them be bad quality. Because I do think, not always, but if something is cheaper, again, not always, but usually the quality is lacking. Usually it's not as concentrated or not as pure. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And I think NMN is a good example to use here. So we know of the issues with NMN purity. The only reason it's more spoken about with NMN purity is because it's been better publicized. Things like NMN, and anybody can really just pop up and say, make a website within 2 minutes and say, buy this NMN, or on Amazon, as I mentioned earlier. And the vast majority of them on Amazon don't contain any NMN whatsoever, even though the label says it does. And then most of the others don't contain the level or purity of NMN that they claim to produce. And again, that's because they're all just profit-focused companies. Whereas, for us, people are putting this in their bodies. I think it's pretty important that the purity is correct. Our mission is to extend healthy lifespan for as many people as possible. So for as many people as possible means we have to try and keep the price down as much as we can. But we'll never, ever let quality and purity be, we'll never let that be detrimented because of price. But we are always as I said, trying to push down the price as long as quality is not going to be affected. So, for example, we've recently reduced our cost of Spermidine just because of economies of scale, because it's been so popular amongst our members. We can then speak to the suppliers and try and cut down the cost of manufacturing whilst keeping the same quality, and we've managed to do that, and I think it was around a 30% reduction, which is quite significant.
And that's something I really appreciate about you guys, that when you see there's a higher demand, now some companies go the other way, they jack up the price because there's a higher demand.
Yeah.
You actually reduce the price. I really appreciate that, and that shows that you're really true to your mission. That's something I really appreciate.
We're trying our best.
You're doing awesome. So, Ellen, how can people stay updated on the research?
So everything new is emailed out first. We translate the research, try to make it easy to understand, layman's terms. But as I said earlier, a lot of the viewers from this channel now are using the products and seeing results already. So if people are just wanting to know how to start, we have created the starter pack, which is basically because we kept getting, one of the other questions we would get a lot was, where do I start? Which ones do I start with? And oftentimes people don't want to start with 12 supplements, right? So then we have the starter pack so that people can just start nice and easily with some of the core. And I would say from viewers of this channel, I think the next two popular ingredients after that have been Sulfura Boost and probably Spermidine. So, but again, if anyone's got any specific questions about the ingredients and products, the research, anything that we're working on, hello@donotage.org. And then one of the team will be able to assist.
Now, one more question, since you just brought up Spermidine, can you just tell us in a nutshell what that is?
Yeah, so Spermidine has been found to extend lifespan already. It's been kind of proven in a mortality study. There was lots of different groups taking different amounts of milligrams. And I believe the group that was over 11 milligrams a day, don't quote me on this, I'm going off the top of my head, had a much longer health span and lifespan. As well as that, they also had a much healthier brain. So less likely to have cognitive decline, less likely to have dementia. And these are the kind of things that we're seeing with Spermidine. And there's more and more studies coming out all the time. You know, most of these studies are in humans. So we've got that direct link there. And I think that's part of the reason why it's now so popular. And then in turn, why we've now been able to reduce the price as well, which is great.
Ellen, this was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and answering all these questions. No
worries. I really enjoyed it. I always enjoy coming on the channel. If people have more questions, just keep firing them away. Gives me a chance to speak to Claudia and get away from my emails. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Me too. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, just thank you everybody for the support. You know, we'll keep trying to bring prices down and innovating and trying to solve the complex problem of aging and extending healthy lifespan for you all if you keep supporting us. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much. See you next time.
Cheers. Take care.
Bye.